Hello there, it's Jay here from Jay's Vintage Junk, and today we're back on with a little IBM PS1. And what I thought we'd do is we'd tackle them CMOS errors that we're getting before we can tackle trying to get the disk drive to work again. Because basically this thing uses one of them little Dallas real-time clock modules to retain its CMOS settings, and obviously after all these years, and this thing was made in what, I think 1990 or 1991, if it's not been replaced already, it's probably still got the original Dallas real-time clock module in it. And the batteries in them, I think they were guaranteed for like 10 years or something like that, and they're all pretty much dead now. Getting replacements, basically you can get them online, but there's a very good chance if they're new old stock, they might be brand new, but the battery's going to be dead in them anyway, because it's a non-replaceable battery that's actually moulded into the clock module when they're actually built. So I say it might be brand new but 30-year-old, the battery's going to be flat in it. I think there are some modern replacements, but I don't know what the compatibility is like with these IBM PS1s, because apparently, as well, they'll work in many systems. I think the IBM PS2 has problems with them, and these are kind of IBM PS2-esque. I think they were at least based on some PS2 like design ideas anyway. So what we're going to do is, I mean, I've done this before. I actually did this in my sorry, I forgot. Sorry, I got a text message and it just threw me then. Yeah, so basically, you've seen me repair one of these clock modules. If you looked at that 486, an AST or something. I think it was an AST. It could have been. Yeah, no, I think it was an AST. 486 I worked on a while back. That had exactly the same clock module in it. In fact, I don't know whether it actually showed me doing the mod on it, or whether it just showed that I modded the CMOS battery. So anyway, I've got all my bits out here, so we can tackle the real-time clock module in this. So I think that's what we will do. So first things first, we better not kick the camera like that, because that's really unprofessional. Like any of my videos have got anything that's to do with professional. I've already unplugged that. Let's get down to the module. So we need to slide the floppy drive out and put that somewhere safe, and we need to remove this metal work here and get a screwdriver out. Right. It does look like this still has its original IBM screws for the front, which is quite nice. Because the screws that IBM used were a little bit different to other manufacturers' screws. I believe there are just two to get this tray out. So it's a case of removing your floppy drive. If you have your hard drive, remove your hard drive, and then we take this metal framework out. I think there's some screws at the back. Yeah, there's screws at the back of it as well. They're wonderfully well built, these PS1s, I must admit. They might be horribly non-standard, but they did build them very, very well. They didn't skimp on the metal they use. This is like battleship grade steel compared with what modern computers are built with. I mean, that's got weight to it. That actually has some heft to it, that. Right, we're in. And let me spin this round so you can see. Let's see if we can zoom you in a little bit as well so you can see. That there is the offending component. There is our Dallas real-time clock chip. And it seems to have been cable tied in position in this situation. Let's see if we can get some snips or something and get rid of that cable tie. Never come across one cable tied into position before. They definitely didn't want that. Sorry folks, just bear with me a second, I'll be right back. Sorry about that, folks. Bloody advertising calls again. They drive you absolutely mad. Right, well that's another one blocked anyway. Right, so let's snip that cable tie. Let's see if we can pull this out. I don't know if we can pull this out or yeah, we can. Don't really like that idea. I'd really like to get that cable tie out of there. There we go, that's it out. It's a bit of a, I can see why they've done it, but I mean, you know, they could have used a bit of a less hefty cable tie than that, I think. Right, now we just need to ease the real-time clock chip out. Now, amazingly, these are actually usually quite easy. He says this one's quite stiff. It would be much better to take this out with a chip extractor, but mine's up in the attic and I can't get to it at the moment, so we'll have to do it the old-fashioned way with a screwdriver, which you can do if you're very, very careful. But you do have to be very, very careful doing it. Oh no, I didn't. I thought I might have bent a leg doing it like that, but I haven't. I've actually got the clock chip out. Oops, there we go. So that's the little offender there. That's what causes all the problems. Let's get the computer out of the way. Sorry about this, folks. Let me just in fact, I won't just pause the video. I'll just it's my mate Andy. Hiya, mate.
Hello, Jay.
Hiya, by the way, you're on camera. I'm just in the middle of doing a video.
Alright, that's alright.
So say hello to everyone.
Hello, everybody. From Vintage Electronics Repair. What are you working on?
I'm just working on that little IBM PS1. I'm just repairing the Dallas real-time clock in it.
Right. Well, speaking of computers, I've got something here you might want.
All right, nice one.
Yeah, so what do you call it? Let me just have a look. It's a Dell server blade.
Oh, excellent. That's something to play with.
Yeah, which is pretty much complete apart from the top.
All right, cool.
All the hard drive. Somebody bashed the hard drive with an hammer, apparently.
Right, that doesn't matter for me. That. I tell you what, mate. I will just finish off doing this video, and I'll give you a bell back.
Okay.
Okay. See you later. Bye.
Yeah, mate. Bye.
Yeah, that was my mate Andy from Vintage Electronics Repair. So it looks like we've got something to play with. Anyway, let's get back onto this. Little thing here. So basically, we've got the real-time clock IC there. Let me just zoom you out a bit so you can see a bit more. That's better. And what we're going to do is we've got a button cell holder here, and I've just salvaged that off an old scrap motherboard. I do usually use brand new ones, but I couldn't find any. I've got a box of them somewhere, but I couldn't find any. But if you're just desperate, any modern scrap PC motherboard will get you one of them. So I've got a brand new battery for it there as well. I've got some solder, little dab of super glue, and now there's various ways you can do this next bit. You can do it with a file, you can do it with a little handsaw, but what I'm going to use, because I've got it, and it is only a cheapy one, but I've got a little a Dremel thing here, so we're going to use that to do the next part of this, because it does involve a little bit of surgery on the clock chip. The next part of this. So I've got the handpiece there, and what we're going to use. Yeah, one of these should do. We've got some that'll do nicely. We've got various attachments. I think that one should probably be the best. Might get one of them out as well. I think that one we've got there will probably do the job the best, but we are going to get one of them out as well. And one of them. Right, that should do us nicely. Like I said, this is actually, I mean, this isn't a real Dremel. This is one of these really, really cheap. I think I got this from. It either came from B&Q or it came from Aldi. I bought it years and years ago. Just plug it in. I do have like a better one, a more powerful mains powered one. But for working on stuff like this, this is actually better. It's a bit more controllable. It's got less power to it. And it's a lot lighter as well. So it is. It's like I say, it's actually a bit superior for working on stuff like this, where you've got to be a bit have a bit of finesse. So if I can get my my bits to hold in from a different one. Sorry, just bear with me, folks. I think I've got the wrong bit in the end of my thing, and the parts won't grip, so just bear with me a second. Okay, sorry about that. That took a little bit more faffing than I was expecting, but we've got the Dremel type tool set up, and basically what we're going to do is we're going to Dremel along. Let me zoom you in so you can see a bit better. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to Dremel along there, and I'm going to Dremel along there, because our negative connection for the internal battery is basically there, and our positive connection is basically there, so that's what we want to expose. So we will we'll fire up the well, that is my bloody luck, isn't it? I'll be back as soon as I've figured out what's just happened to my Dremel device. Back very, very shortly. Again. Folks, I don't know what happened there, because I've just faffed a bit with it and it's now working. So anyway, let's get on with the job. Sorry about the noise. You'll have to bear with the noise. But basically, we don't want to go mad, but we just want to very gently. Oops. I don't think I've got my bit quite tight enough in my Dremel there. Well, Dremel type tool. Let's just give this a quick tighten. There we go, that should be better. And let's resume. You don't want to go too mad at this, because you've got a plastic, and you've got a ceramic inside it, and you've also got a battery in here which you don't want to pierce. You just want to expose it. Now, I have seen some people when they've done this, and they've literally getting there on that one. We've gone right through the plastic, and we're actually down into the ceramic here. I can just see the first little glint of the connector that we're looking for, right down there. You can just see a little bit of something shining. We'll keep going. out from up here. You'll see a little bit of silver down there. I'll just switch this off for a second so I can show you. Get something I can point with. As good a thing as any. No, and basically we look right down there. I don't know if you can make that out on the camera, but I've just exposed a little bit of silver there, and that's basically the lead out wire that we're looking for. And what we want to do is we want to sever it at the top there. So basically the old battery is no longer connected, and then we want to solder our ground onto that little bottom bit there. So let's go and let's take a little bit more of the material out. We'll just keep there we go. There's the top of the battery. And we basically just want to make sure that they're severed. You can do that with a Dremel. Like that. Oops, let me switch that off a sec. Just keep cleaning away. It is a bit of a dusty thing to be doing this. It's a bit of a pain, and really I should be on an anti-static mat, but we've got a tiny little bit more to go there, and we'll have literally severed between the battery there and that little silver contact down there, which is what we want to solder to. Let's go a bit further up here. There we are. And that's the battery freed off from the contact that we want to solder into down there. We've actually gone right through it there. So the next thing we need to do is we need to expose the that's the negative connection. We need to expose the positive connection. The positive connection is here, which will be that's pin 16 that we've just exposed there, and next we want to expose pin 20. So again, we'll just switch on, we'll go in here, just tighten my bit up on my tool again because it's come loose. You don't want that flying off and flying around the room. It'd be most embarrassing. Right, go in here. Again, we've got to get through the plastic first. Once we're through the plastic, it's actually there straight away. Oops. Let's put that down for a second and we'll have a bit of a clean up. Let's give the bench a quick clean like that. Get you back down on there. Right, let's get a tiny bit of isopropyl on the cotton bud and we'll just give it a quick clean up. That'll just help us get rid of all that dust. A bit of isopropyl. We'll just have a clean up. It'll just help us get all the dust and the muck and rubbish off the off where we've been working. There we go. In fact, I think we'll just take a bit more material away from the positive side there, just so we don't melt it when we do the soldering in a minute. go. That's something decent to solder to. Again, we'll have a quick clean up. Let's get all the dust and the muck and the rubbish off. There we go. You can deal with them slightly bent pins when we've finished. They're not broken, I've just slightly bent them. Straighten them up now actually. You can just do that with your fingernail. They weren't really bent out of place, they're only a little bit. There we go, they're fine now. Right. So next thing is we need to solder a couple of little wires. We need a black one off there. Oops, can you see? And we need a red one off the... Well, it doesn't matter really. I mean, ideally you'd use that. In fact, what have I got down here that I can salvage some wire off? If I've got black and red, I'll use black and red, but... Oh yeah. Yeah, I can salvage some black and red off this, that'll be nice. And be nice and thin. Let's strip this out. There we go. Some nice thin black and red wires here. There we go, that'll do. Just off a bit of scrap. Right, and we'll get these soldered into position. That's our black one. That's our red. We've got the soldering iron ready. So we'll tin them wires up. I'll zoom you out a little bit. We'll tin these wires up. That's the first one. That's the second one. Oops, got a little bit too much on that. That'll clean off. There we go. Get that out of the way. Yuck. There we go. Right, so first things first, let's just put a little bit of solder in where we're actually going to attach the wires to. So on the negative it's right down at the bottom here because we've actually severed the connection from the old battery at the top. So let's there we go, tin that one up. And then we've got the positive connection here again, we've just got to get a bit of solder on there. Like that. And next thing we need to attach these wires to them tinned up points. Keep the solder on that, just give me an iron off. Get a little bit of solder off that pin. We can attach this wire to there like that. And that's connected. We'll take this wire, which is the positive, and solder that on there like that. We've got our two wires soldered onto the IC. There we go. Those are soldered on there like that, if you can see. Yeah. Pull you around. There we go. Right, so those are on. Yeah, they're not going to come off. We take our coin holder, and it's got a positive and a negative. On this particular one, the slightly longer leg is your positive. So what we're going to do, we'll stick that, we're going to glue basically that onto the top of the chip, and then we're going to run the wires round to where we need them. So I've got a little bit of super glue. Super glue should be fine for this. Yeah, we'll do it that way around. Means one of them wires is going to end up being very, very short, but it doesn't really matter that. Get the nice new pack of super glue out. That's one of these ones with a little applicator brush. That's quite nice. These are better for this type of work. I'll put a bit of super glue on the bottom there. That should be enough. That should be more than enough. Put the lid on the super glue because I don't want that to go everywhere. And we will stick the holder right down to the top of the chip, like that, and we'll just have to hold it there for a second while that super glue goes off. No matter how careful you are with super glue, you always end up getting a little bit on your fingers. In fact, I'm just going to pause the video and I'm going to leave that for just 5-10 minutes or so. Just let that super glue go off before we solder the wires on. So back very shortly. Right, we're back. It's a little bit longer than I thought it would be, because I did take a little trip over to see my mate Andy actually. But it did give time for my little dabs of super glue to dry, so that holder now is well and truly attached on the top of the Delos RAM module. Right, so the next thing we need to do is connect the positive and the negative up to the holder. Now on a button cell like this, is it a CR32 I think they're called, aren't they? Can't remember off the top of my head now. But basically the top there, the top of the battery with the plus on is your positive, which is that little contact on the side of the holder there, and the big brush contact there is your negative, which actually goes onto the bottom of the battery cell. We'll connect that one up first, I think. So if we take the black wire that we connected on, in fact let me just bring you up a little bit and zoom you out a touch so you've got a bit more room. Right, so basically what we're going to do is we're going to bring that wire around, and that wire is going to have to solder down onto there, onto the negative connector for this thing. So if we just bring the wire around, we can just measure off roughly where I want to strip it off to, which is about there. I'm going to leave the wire fairly long. I just want to strip a little bit of this insulation off from about there. Nearly. You've got to be a little bit careful doing that, because you don't want to risk pulling it out from where you've just soldered it on, but we got away with it. Let's bring that wire around. Yeah, that's perfect. And what we want to do is we sort of tin that up, give it a quick twist, and we'll tin that up. There we go. We can bend that round. We'll just hook that underneath that leg. Because I've used a salvaged holder, it's pre-tinned. Obviously, if we'd used a brand new holder, we'd have had to add a little bit of fresh solder to that before we worked on it. But as I used a salvaged one, it's already got enough solder on it. Just get that wire behind. There we go. That's perfect. Get the wire behind. Bend it back on itself. So basically, we just wrap the tinned wire around that pin, and we're just going to solder it in place, and then we can snip the excess off. Put my snips there to hold it in place. Yeah, get you down so you can see a little bit better anyway. I'll zoom you in. Oops, wrong way. There we go. So basically I've got the black wire from the other side just brought round the side of it there, nice and neat on. I've just brought it to the connector there, and we're just going to solder it into place. Get the old soldering iron. Hopefully you can see this. Let's go and solder that in place. I'll just add a tiny touch more there. There we go. Lovely. Put that in there. We'll just snip that excess off. There we go. Snip that bit of excess wire off. So that's the negative side done. And basically we just need to do exactly the same thing on the positive, but this is really tiny and short, as you can see there. So what we'll do, we'll snip the wire off, say about there, and we need to expose. I'm just pressing down. What I risk doing here, which is really going to be easy to do, is pulling that wire out from where we've just soldered it on. There, I've got away with it. I've got it stripped off. Just give that a quick twist. We just want to tin that wire up now. Tin that wire up. Okay. So that's the wire tinned up. So all we need to do is just bend that round, and we want to solder that. Just give it a little bit of a kink there so we can get it in. Bend that round. That live connection, the positive connection there, like that. Just use something just to push that in so it's nice and neat and tidy. That should do. Excuse me. And we can solder that in position. There we go. Right, and we'll snip that off. There we go. And that's it. So there's our modified real-time clock with a replacement battery holder on top. So all we need to do now, let's give it a try and see whether it's actually going to do anything. So I'll zoom you out a bit. Oops. One of these days I'll remember which ones zoom in and which ones zoom out. Right, so there we go. This needs to go back in the computer. Let's just make sure all the pins are nice and straight. They are. These are actually harder to get in than a normal IC because you've not got all the pins. You've got actual pins missing. It actually makes it a little bit trickier to it does make it a little bit trickier to get it all lined up if you've got one pin out. I think that should go in. I always seem to struggle to get these to line up perfectly first time. Let's see. Is that in? There we go, it's in. Right, so that's fitted into the board, as we can see there with its I think we've just got enough room for it to go in and actually miss the bottom of the drive cage. So we'll in fact what we'll do, we'll get it connected up and we'll fire it up now as it is without the new battery in, and then we'll put the new battery in and we'll see if it makes a difference. Right, so I'll need a keyboard. Plug that in there. Have to unplug the old soldering down so we can plug the computer in. That's that one, I think. Right. So we've plugged the computer in now. Oops. Let's see it power up. Come on, power up. Why are you not powering up? What if I got the screen set to? Hang on. I don't think it was set onto PC then. Oh, no valid signal detected. What if I disconnect it? Let's have another look. Well, everything seems, everything does seem connected. I've put the clock chip in the right way, definitely. So let's just try that again. The computer's definitely got power because the mouse is lit. But we're not getting anything on the computer. Now, why is that? Because I mean, we should still get it powering up at this. It's definitely getting power because the monitors, sorry, the mouse is actually lighting up. I've got an optical mouse plugged into it, but and the mouse is well, you know, the mouse is lighting up, so it's getting power, but we're getting nothing on the display. Let's just disconnect power again. That's most odd. I mean, like I said, the only thing we've done is put the holder on the real-time clock chip. Let's try just putting a battery in it, and I don't think that'll make any difference. Put a battery in the holder. It's definitely the right way around, and it's definitely nicely seated down there. So. What else can we check? Yep, we've got power. We know the power's okay because the mouse is getting power. So obviously the DC to DC converter in here must be running. Why are we not getting any video out? Because the only thing we have done is change that, fix that clock battery. Let's try it again. Oh, there we go. We're still getting the same errors, 161 and 163. Let's press F1. But the question is, this is one major problem we've got. Yeah, obviously it's not going to find anything because we haven't got a drive connected. Let's fail that. Alright, C colon. Right. There should be a executable called configure on the IBM PS1 range, and it's basically like your BIOS. It's like some of the old compacts. Instead of having your setup program actually accessible from ROM, your setup program come on a disk, and you had to run it. To set things like your drive parameters and stuff like that. Obviously with the battery being failed, all that information's lost. That's why we've got them 2 error messages. Initially I thought that setup program would be in the ROM drive, which is here, but it's not. Like I say, it's called configure.exe and it's not in there, which one slight problem is the program's no problem at all. I've got a disk image of it, so I can write it to a floppy drive. But without the CMOS settings working to set the floppy drive up, how would you read the disk in to be able to set the setup program to work to actually set the CMOS up? If you know what I mean. Let's switch off. Power it back up now and see if that error's gone away. Now it's actually, it might still come up because like I say, I can't get into the setup program to do anything. Yeah, we get a 161 and a 163 error, which are to do with time and date not set. and there's not a lot I can think of how we can get in there to set them. So this is a real problem. I'm just hoping that the it might work enough that the disk drive actually works now. I have we can give the disk drive a go. So I'm not holding out too much hope yet, but at least we've changed that CMOS battery. Interestingly, it wouldn't even. We'll try that again actually before I put this on. It's as though it wouldn't even boot without the battery in there. So let's just try that again. Let me just plug it in and see if it'll boot up. Yeah, like it did, and obviously we've got the 2 error messages which we're expecting. So that's working. Let me just take out the new coin cell, so it's got no battery at all. These are a bloody pain to get back out. There we go. We'll take the coin cell out and see, because it didn't boot last time I tried it just without any coin cell in. Let's just try again. No, it just won't. If it's got absolutely no battery there at all, it won't boot up. It won't even try and fire up. So at least that proves that the coin cell we've fitted is definitely working. Because like I say, if I shove the coin cell in there now, I don't want to break the holder now. I've gone to all the trouble sticking it in place. So there, we've got the coin cell in place. Power that back up. Apologies for the pop. It's purely because I've no switch on this power supply, and the only way I can power it up is to literally just plug the lead in. I know that's not ideal. I will put a switch on it if we're going to carry on using this power supply. But there, we put the coin cell in, and the computer fires up. I said we can't do anything yet, but at least it proves that the repair on there is working. The problem is, how on earth do we get to that configure.exe so we can actually set the set all the parameters in there? I'm just going to stick this back in now. Yeah, and there's just enough clearance nicely with that back down like that for the modified real-time clock. It's not being crushed down or anything. It just fits nicely. That we'll screw that into place, and then we don't lose these original IBM screws. There we go. Well, might as well put these 2 in while we're at it. So I'm not expecting it to miraculously fix the problem, but it does give us the question of, even if we've got the drive working now, without the CMOS settings to say that it's got a 1.44 meg floppy as its A drive, how do we actually get in there to set anything up? I mean, if it had a standard ISA bus, well, like I say, it does actually, but it's just it's not got standard ISA connectors. I'd put something like an 8-bit XT2 IDE in it with its own boot ROM, with the images that I need on there, boot it off that and do it that way. I mean, that might be, well, like I said, the problem with that is of all this thing uses an ISA bus, it doesn't have an ISA expansion on it at all, really. let's put the floppy back in. Right, there we go, that's the floppy back in. Tilt you down a little bit. But the problem we've got, like I said, is we'll power it back up now. I still don't think we're going to be able to read a... I mean, there could still be something wrong with this drive. We don't know the full status of the drive yet. Although, now that's interesting. We've lost an error message. We've now got 163. Press F1. Press F1. If the disk drive will now be able to read a disk, we're pretty well sorted. Because I can, like I said, I can make a disk image with that configure program on it, and we can actually configure the system. Let's just stick a random disk in that doesn't matter. Your software. DOS prompt. No, it's still not. It's not going to. It's still not going to be able to read a disk, is it? No. I think it's going to be a case of trying to rebuild this disk drive and get this disk drive fully working. But we have lost an error message there. That's interesting. Let's just try doing a quick reboot. Yeah, I'm just playing now. This video is more about fixing that CMOS battery. Let's see if the computer's going to try and boot up. Well, like I said, we've definitely lost that. We've proved that the repair to the real-time clock's working because it's retaining the fact that it's only got one error message now. We've got this 163 error message, which I'll have to look up. F1. But it still can't read. Disk is unformatted, bad. It still can't read from the floppy drive, unfortunately. But I have. I thought I had one, but I cannot find it anywhere. I've just ordered another one, a Gotek floppy emulator. I might play with that actually, because that should be quite easy enough to get working on this thing. I've looked into the differences between like the IBM PS1, PS2 disk drives and standard disk drives, and it is very, very simple. There's some minor modifications. Basically, you've got to take the 5 volts and 12 volts, which are currently being fed into the drive. You can either use them to give yourself your 5 volts and your 12 volts, or you can piggyback it off the serial card at the back here to give you your standard voltages. There's an extra pin that needs to be taken to ground. I think through a pull-down resistor is probably the best way of doing it, to tell it that it's a 1.44 meg drive connected to the computer rather than a 1.2. Apart from that, pretty much any 1.44 meg floppy disk can be made to work with one of these things. So what I'm thinking is if you can make just about any 1.44 meg floppy work with it, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to make a Gotek work with it. And that would make this computer a lot more usable even without having the hard drive in it. So that's possibly the way I'm going to go. But like I said, I've got one on the way. Before that, I probably will have a faff and a fiddle about with the floppy drive, and we'll see if we can actually get the floppy drive up and running. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there for now. I hope you enjoyed that little video. So thanks for watching and goodbye.